What is up, Maine Mariners Nation? Who is ready for more hockey? This is the Maine Hockey Report brought to you by the Hockey Podcast Network. I am, of course, your host, Benjamin Kennedy. Happy Friday, everybody. Happy freaking Friday. How's everybody doing out there? Listen, today we are going to break down that epic Game 7 that we all saw on Wednesday night where Maine finally dispensed of Adirondack, sent them home packing for the season, and then themselves jumped on that flight to Pittsburgh to get down to West Virginia for tonight. So we're going to go over that. We're going to give a quick just overview of this series, which should be another barn burner of a series here, and look at some of the key performers. Then we'll take a quick look at the NHL playoffs, because the Stanley Cup playoffs, even though our Bruins are not in it, are still going on. So we'll give a quick rundown there. Let's go back to Wednesday night. First of all, if you were in the building, just the energy, man. It was like 3,300 people in the building, so it was far from full. But, man, the energy it felt full. I know with Mike and I on the call when Element scored that empty netter, man, it felt like the roof was coming off the place. You don't hear that all the time, so it was just great to experience that. Let's go back to that game, though. Of course, it was Maine winning this one 3-1 in an epic Game 7. Shots on goal on this one, 36-21 for Maine. It was 9-8 Adirondack in the first, 13-11 for Maine in the second, and 15-1 in the third for the Mariners. That really was the difference in the game. Power play, another big difference here. Adirondack 1 for 5, Maine 0 for 1. And of course, your goal scores. It was tagged Bertuzzi getting the first one in that second period at the 9:41 mark. That was from Hutchinson and O'Neill on a power play. That was, I believe, the Lampa penalty, his first of the two on the night. Second period, though, later in that period is Willem DeVoe on just a beautiful breakaway. That was unassisted, getting it up on Brodeur. That was at the 18:46 mark. And then you go into the third period where it was Nick Anderson with the game winner at the 16:10 mark. Just a bullet of a shot from Andreev and Venuto. We'll talk about that play in just a moment. And then, of course, it was Sean Element. What a difference maker, getting the empty netter to seal it away at the 19:27 mark. Jeremy Brodeur taking a loss in this one, 33 saves on 35 shots, might have been the best player in the series overall. And Luke Haviland just giving up the one goal, 20 saves on 21 shots. Holy smokes, guys, what a game. We go back to that first period, and it's something that I said on the call that really felt like it was Adirondack's most aggressive first period of this series. They really came out, had the jump on Maine, and it really felt like the Mariners were a little timid. They looked like they were a little apprehensive, a little anxious perhaps, and it took them a little while to kind of maybe flush the rest of that Game 6 out of their system. But once they did, they started to find their skates a little bit, started to find their legs. But it's easy to forget some of these moments now, but there was a 3-on-1 for Adirondack in that first period that Calvin was able to shut down. I think that was right before the shovel day off penalty, the hooking penalty there. But Calvin was sharp. He had to be sharp in that first period. Looking at shots on goal for Maine in that period, it was a little slow at first, but Venuto was right in there getting a couple. You had 3 from the defenseman in that first period as well. But clearly, Adirondack took an approach. Hey, let's try to jump these guys. Maybe they're a little fragile coming out of last night. Luckily, Maine able to get out of that. Nothing after 20 minutes gave them a chance really to find their footing and find their legs. Come out of the second period, you saw a different energy from the Mariners. They were much more aggressive from the jump, a lot more ozone time. So you're starting to build it, and then Lampa takes the penalty. That led to the tag Bertuzzi goal. So right there, you're like, oh, we finally found it. We finally got some momentum, and then boom, Bertuzzi takes it right away. Great shot by him, but good on Maine. They kept pushing. It was really that Cronin line, the Cronin, Jordan, Kalmakoff line that really pushed play in that second period. They were really all over it in that second period with their puck retrievals and keeping pucks in. And another story that was playing throughout this game, it would really start in the second period, were the penalties. We already saw 5 for Adirondack, 1 from Maine, but it was really like not even close to a full power play opportunity. Maine wasn't getting away with anything. And like Mike and I said on the call, I didn't have a problem with any of the penalties that were called against Maine. They were all legit. They were absolutely all legit. A couple of stick infractions in there. You have to call them. But man, it felt like in that second period, Adirondack was holding every time they could, and they were getting away with it. There was even one play down near their goalie where I think one of our guys literally got picked up off the ice. It's like, how is that not a hold? How is that not a hold? But, sometimes you have to fight through that. And I know that, Rick mentioned it. Coach mentioned it in the post game that, they had to fight through that sometimes. And lucky for the team, they were able to do that. But, you're seeing all these potential calls that could go against Adirondack. And then Cronin takes that cross check. You could just see the frustration. And again, it was a legit penalty. But it just kind of compounded the fact, the refs were missing some things over here. You felt like they were missing some things. And then Cronin, kind of out of frustration, takes that one. But it wasn't long after that Willem DeVoe makes one of the plays of the year, in my opinion, a breakaway. The puck kind of trickles out towards center ice and is heading down into the offensive zone. And at that point, Jeremy Brodeur and that has to make a decision. The puck wasn't moving all that fast. You got to remember it was towards the end of the second period. So the ice was pretty choppy, pretty snowy out there. And he made a decision to hold back. Probably the right decision when you really look at it, because I don't know if he's being devoted to that puck at that point. I think he was still a little too far away from it. Had the puck been moving a little quicker, maybe Brodeur was able to get it and clear it out. Regardless, DeVoe able to get that puck and break away from the defender and pops it in, and just what a elation of a moment after you felt like Maine had a better period. You felt like they had found their legs. They took the penalty. Bertuzzi gets the one. You just feel like, oh, here we go again. And it's the captain just making it, again, one of the plays of the year, in my opinion. So you're feeling good. You get into the end of the second period. And then, what happens next? Yeah, it's Lampa getting his stick up high, drawing blood, and all of a sudden it's a 2-minute double minor with 3 seconds to go in the period. So all this great momentum, you just look at those swings, beginning of the second period, all right, we're feeling good. Bertuzzi go, oh, we're feeling bad. Then, Devo's go, oh, we're feeling good. And then double minor, we're feeling bad again. That's a lot of emotional ups and downs for the team to play through. Give them credit, man. They stayed even keel. They went into that locker room, to sit for, 17, 18 minutes before coming out, knowing they have a huge kill to come. And I'm going to, pat myself on the back here, because this is something that I kind of called out, knowing we had the penalty kind of disparage. I said it in the intermission that during that 3 minutes and 57 seconds that we had, don't be surprised if Adirondack takes a penalty. And they did. It was the Hansel penalty at the 2:06 mark in the third period, a holding call, because they were getting away with all the holds all night. And it was really able to cut that down. And it was really another play by Willem DeVoe. Very funny. I asked him about it in the post-game media session. What were you trying to do on that play where you, if you remember, he's going down on the ice and trying to bat the puck out of the O zone or out of their D zone during that kill. He's able to get to it. It gets to Element, and Element's going to take off if it wasn't for Hansel holding him. So that effort by DeVoe getting into Element really creates the kind of leveling the playing field out to 4-on-4, killing off the rest of that 4-minute double minor. And here I'm, trying to kind of set him up with a good question to say, oh yeah, I've had it in mind to do this, that. And what does he say? He's like, yeah, I lost an edge. I lost an edge and I went down and just happened to be able to get to the puck. So, good honesty by him, but the play worked out, and it was a huge momentum boost for the club as now you get to 4-on-4, you get back to, full on 5-on-5 after that. Just quite an amazing play there. So really 2 huge plays for Devo. But you get back to 5-on-5 and really you saw it. Maine started to control the O zone. You see the shots on goal, 15-1. Before Anderson scores his, Cronin had a couple of great looks down low, just couldn't get one in. And then Taylor for Adirondack had another great look just a few moments before, or after that, I should say, where plenty of empty net, just couldn't get it by. Goes through the blue paint. But then let's talk about the Anderson goal. And I tell you what, Nick Anderson, you could just tell, you could see the elation on his face, both in on the ice when he was being interviewed, and of course we talked to him after the game. He was just so excited, and you could see the joy in his face. I mean, this guy, got traded this year from Orlando, had to come and readjust to a new team. Probably wasn't sure where he was going to fit in. and he's been just found money for the Mariners, and just a great shot by him. But that entire shot is all generated by Max Andreev. He's coming down the right side of the ice with the puck, puts on a little move and loses Taylor from Adirondack, opening that up. He's able to get it to Anderson. Anderson able to pop it in from above to make it 2-1. Just a thing of beauty. And that's just what Max Andreev has done all season, has made plays like that time and time again. He's so good with the puck on his stick. He's able to just protect the puck and keep defenders away from him. And it's just been a thing of beauty to see. And it really played out in that moment. Great shot by Anderson. And then, of course, the entire building, myself and Mike included, were thinking, okay, let's not let Adirondack do this again. Let's not let them get a late goal and go to overtime. And one of the breaks, Mike looked at me. He's like, I don't think I can do an overtime. He's like, I don't think I can do another overtime. And I was like, I know, but we're probably going to. We're probably going to overtime because that's just how this stinking series has gone. But man, oh man, lucky for us, it's Sean Elliman with the empty netter right there. When was it? Right around the 30, wasn't the 19:27 mark, so 33 seconds to go in the game, able to make it 3-1 and really icing the game, icing the series away. Just a phenomenal game of swings and, emotional ups and downs, I would say, as that game went on. And it was really the question that we asked in the pregame was mental toughness. What kind of mental toughness was this team, this Maine Mariners team, going to show us coming into this game? And man, they answered the bell. They answered the bell, because that is tough, man, to be up 3-1, feeling like you have it. You lose 2 overtime games where you felt like you were probably the better team, especially game 6. You felt like you played it well enough to win that game. And to lose it the way you did it's hard for any team to come back from that. And quite honestly, we asked Coach about that, and he wasn't sure. He even wasn't sure how the team was going to respond. He was a little bit nervous about that. Can totally understand that. But man, they answered the bell. So I just think that as great learning for the team, because you have to win a series like that. You have to win a game like that if you feel like you are a Kelly Cup champion. If you're a champion at any level, you've got to go through that sort of adversity and prove you have the mettle to get through and be successful. Well, check that box. They did it. So now, as they get into this series with Wheeling, if they get into those same spots, and they just might, they can just go back and look at what they did against Adirondack and say, hey, guys, we've done this before. We've been here before. We know we can get through it. And that's just kind of the resiliency I think this team has played with all season. So just absolutely great to see that. A lot of fun. Guys, leave comments down below. Share your stories of, where were you if you were in the arena? Where were you sitting? And what were some of your experiences there from that Game 7? The Stanley Cup playoffs are here, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, has a new customer offer. Bet player props. Bet live. From the opening faceoff to the final horn, every moment matters. New DraftKings customers, bet just $5 and you'll receive $100 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN so you're ready for the moment. That's code THPN. Turn $5 into $100 in bonus bets instantly. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-MY-RESET. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois. 21 and over in most states. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. Limited time offer.
So, as Mike said, wheels up to Wheeling. They flew out Thursday, got to Pittsburgh, took the bus down to Wheeling, West Virginia, and they are preparing for a 7:10 puck drop tonight. Should be a lot of fun. Again, Mike will be on that call on the Mixlr app, also on Flow Hockey TV. That's where I'll be taking in the game tonight to check that out. But let's take a look at this series with the Wheeling Nailers. We only played them 5 times, not 15 like Adirondack. But Maine was 2-1 against this group this year. So not bad for being such a great team as Wheeling is. 2-1. You go back to October 25th, Maine winning at home 7-3. They followed it up the next night. It was an overtime loss. So Wheeling getting that one 5-4 on that October 26th. November 14th, Maine really kind of getting it handed to them in these two games on the 14th and 15th, losing 5-1, and then the next day 4-1. So Wheeling really dominating there on their home ice. Both of those games were in Wheeling. So that might be one question, is Maine hasn't won in that building this year. They'll get a chance to answer that tonight. And then back on January 28th, Maine winning in a shootout 3-2. That was at the Cross Insurance Arena. So making it a 2-2-1 record. I think that's a 3-1-1 record for the Nailers. So should be a really tight series in my opinion. Let's look over some of the key performers, at least from round one. Of course, Jacob Hudson played all 7 games, 5 goals, 3 assists for 8 points, led the way, led the team. Andreev, 2 goals, 5 assists for 7 points. Sean Ellman coming over from Milwaukee. Thank you once again, Milwaukee. We really appreciate you bowing out of the Calder Cup. Got into 5 games, 4 goals, 1 assist for 5 points. What a difference maker. What a difference maker on this club. He's just a physical play he brings, and his ability with the puck, has a great shot, and really can kind of play up and down your lineup if you need him to. Willem Deveau, 2 goals, 3 assists for 5 points. Fanuto, same, 2 goals, 3 assists for 5 points. And Jacob Perreault only got into 5 games, 1 goal, 4 assists for 5 points. And he, I think, is a big question mark coming into this series. Will he play tonight? I haven't seen the lineup. I intentionally didn't ask Mike to see it because I didn't want to, let the cat out of the bag, too early. But obviously, if we can get him back in the lineup, what a great boost that would be here for this game one. I think you'll see him. He was skating. I know before game 7, he was out skating that morning, just not good enough to go for game 7. So we'll see what we see. Hopefully, he'll be out there tonight. If not tonight, hopefully tomorrow. In that, of course, Luke Haviland, 1.41 goals against average and a .938 save percentage, picking up 2 wins, both at home. And Brad Arvanitis doing the work on the road, 2.96 goals against and an .885 save percentage. Had to, play those 3 games with Luke up in Boston there during the Boston-Buffalo series. Turning over now to the Wheeling Nailers. It's some familiar faces here, guys. Matt Garcia got into 5 games. Of course, they had just a 5-game series with the Reading Royals. But Garcia, 2 goals, 4 assists for 6 points. Blake Bennett, 2 goals, 1 assist for 3 points. Former UMaine Black Bear, Nolan Renwick, 2 goals, 1 assist for 3 points. Zach Erdahl, 2 goals, 1 assist for 3 points. And Ryan McAllister, 2 goals, no assist for 2 points. And, of course, Taylor Gauthier in net. This guy, you think Brodeur was good. This guy was incredible. In the 5 games, 3 shutouts, a 0.71 goals against average, and a .974 save percentage. So if you thought that you had to pepper Brodeur to get something by him, what are you going to have to do against Gauthier here? You're going to have to really light this guy up with shots on goal early and often, because, man, he is just stopping everything he sees. I think he only gave up 4 goals in the 5 games throughout the series, and like I said, 3 shutouts. So obviously it takes good defense in front of him to do that as well. They have good defensemen. Of course, they have another former UMaine Black Bear and David Brazil playing defense for them. And also a former Maine Mariner friend, Tristan Thompson, is there too. So, so it'll be some familiar names. And I believe Corsia is our North Andover Mass guys. All sorts of local kind of tie-ins here. And actually, I believe their play-by-play guy is actually a Maine guy too. So all kinds of fun stuff. There should be a fun series. Of course, going back to Renwick, played most of the year in the AHL, got into 43 games there for Scranton Wilkes-Barre, 2 goals, 3 assists for 5 points in those 43 games, but only 11 games in the ECHL, but had 4, 4, and 8. So, 8 points in 11 games. So his game really suited here for the ECHL. He might be a player to watch, along with Bennett and Corsia, really being a couple of their top guys. All right, Will, prediction time. Of course, I am a Maine Mariners fan. I am part of the broadcast team for home games. I am probably not the most objective voice to be, making a pick here, but it's just for fun, right? It's just for fun. I look at these two clubs as being so close. You look at the goaltending, both excellent in net. You look at the depth scoring. Really, really good across the board here for both of these clubs. They both have really good depth scoring. They both play physical. They're both really hard to beat. They're hard to come back on, late, both of these teams, in my opinion. Of course, Wheeling, top seed, they got home ice. Kind of hard to pick against that. But I'm going to be a little bit bullish here. I feel like there's something special in that room for the Mariners. I think they showed us something on Wednesday night. I think they showed us something on that big trip they took, back in February when they went to Florida and came back up through. This is a special group, and I don't think they're done. I really don't. I'm taking the Maine Mariners in 6 games, guys. I think they steal one here over the weekend to steal home ice. I think they get it back to Maine and win a couple games back at the Cross, and then they go back to Wheeling to win it in Game 6. I'm taking the Maine Mariners in 6 games to move on to the Eastern Conference Finals. I was right on the last one, Maine in 7. We'll see if I can be right 2 series in a row. Should be a lot of fun. Well, let's take a quick look, guys, at the Stanley Cup playoffs. Right now in the East, it's Carolina up 3-0 on Philadelphia. That series, in my opinion, all but over. Buffalo up 1-0 on Montreal in the other series. Colorado up 2-0 on Minnesota. That's been an interesting series. I think Minnesota's not going to go away quietly in that one. And it is Vegas and Anaheim on the other side. 1 game apiece over there. And of course, tonight you do have your Maine Mariners. You also have the Canadiens and the Sabres. They're going to be dropping the puck there out in Buffalo at 7 p.m. for Game 2 of their series. And at 9:30, it'll be the Golden Knights and the Anaheim Ducks from Anaheim getting that one going for Game 3 of that series. So should be a lot of fun. I know, of course, the Canadiens-Sabres series getting a lot of attention. I love the jerseys out there, seeing it looks really great on the ice, and having these two very local kind of rivals playing against one another. Yeah, I don't really have a feel. I think that one's going to go long. I really do. I think I'm kind of bullish on Montreal tonight getting this one. I think they're probably a little pissed off at how that first game went. I feel like they probably played better than the score would indicate. As far as the Golden Knights and Vegas, Golden Knights and Anaheim, I'm taking Anaheim. I just am. They were able to get by Edmonton. Something about this Vegas team just seems off. It just seems off to me. There's still a lot of veteran guys on that team, really talented team, and a lot of guys who have won a Stanley Cup. But man, this Anaheim team, again, they have some energy, they have some youth, they have some enthusiasm. I don't think they have the defense, but something tells me that Anaheim is going to find a way to get to the Western Conference Finals. Carolina and Philly, again, like I said, I think it's all but over. Philly had that opportunity in Game 2 where they were up 2-0. Of course, Taylor Hall sinking them there at the end to take that one in overtime. So I do think Carolina haven't lost a game yet in the playoffs. Same goes for Colorado. They have not lost a game yet either. They will lose a couple, though, against Minnesota. I do think Colorado wins that one. I do think Minnesota, though, will fight back. That series will be heading back to the state of hockey for Game 3 here. I believe, if I am not mistaken, I think that is going to be tomorrow night. Yes, it'll be 9 p.m. tomorrow night. They're from Minnesota. And then it will be the Hurricanes and Flyers in Philly tomorrow night at 6 p.m. I do think the Hurricanes finish that one off and get a little rest for themselves. Well, guys, that is what we have tonight. As we always say, if you're not down there in West Virginia, go check out Flow Hockey TV or the Mixlr app, where you can find Keel's call for tonight and tomorrow night. Check in, with me and, leave some comments here as the game goes on. Would love to hear from you guys. And, if you're at one of the watch parties in Portland, love to hear how those are going. I'm going to be home here with my kid checking out the game, so it should be a good time. And I will be back with Mike on Monday night for Games 3 and then Game 4 on Tuesday, Game 5 if necessary on Wednesday. So I do believe it will be necessary, in my opinion. I will be there with Keels from the Cross Insurance Arena, so should be a lot of fun. Guys, thank you so much for checking this out today. If you haven't hit that like and subscribe button yet, please do so. Definitely helps me out a lot here on the channel. And until next time, everybody, be kind, show love, and God bless.